Live. So,
Groovy.
hello everybody. Welcome to Kitchen Sink Microscopy and quite potentially the impending end of the world, as usual.
Yeah. Geez, the end is near, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this latest one actually comes from Harvard scientists that are saying there's this like weird anomaly in space. Could be a comet, but its trajectory is just right that it's gonna pass by like I forget, like Jupiter, Neptune, and Mars or something,
Mhm.
like places where it could possibly like surreptitiously put some spy equipment. And then when it gets close to Earth, it's going to be like obstructed from view by the moon or whatever.
Hmm.
And people are like, "Oh, that seems kind of like it might be planned, or maybe it's a hostile
Oh,
alien force or something." And
well, I
what do you
mean,
think about that?
well, there's a lot of coincidences out there.
Hmm.
But also we shouldn't dismiss the possibility, right? Because I mean, what's
Yeah,
the meme? It's like your chances of being killed by something uh, is not zero or whatever. I
right.
can't remember the exact phraseology, but like it, it could happen. Like, yeah, the odds are very slim that there's some kind of invading alien force, but it's not zero.
Well, and the freaky thing is like they're like we can't even defend against it because like our fastest rocket technology is like three times slower than this thing.
Yeah.
So, so
I well, and that is one of the things. It's like, what do we do? I guess we submit, try to negotiate. Send Trump up there with a bunch of McDonald's and be like, hey, don't kill us.
send them another probe with some more nudes,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh
or
man.
send them another Tesla.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah,
Whatever happened to that thing anyway? Did that burn up in orbit?
I think so. Yeah, because it wasn't powered, so it probably just came down and burned up. They took all the stuff out of it, like so wasn't really dangerous or anything. Um, kind of a cool thing. Like, yeah, I mean, I did a minute microscopy a while back about like how aliens are never going to invade, and I stick by that. I just don't think that's a likelihood at all. I mean, it's unlikely that there's anything close enough to even invade to begin with. And if they were, I doubt that would happen.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, it's like if you have a Yugo parked in front of your place and you don't lock the doors, chances are it's never going to get stolen. If
yeah.
you got a Mercedes out there and you don't lock the door, well, it's probably gone tomorrow, you know?
Well, and that's a
And
good point. In that the technology that would be required to get here and have the capacity to actually overpower Earth would be far like what would they get out of it?
yeah,
We don't have shit,
we've
and it's like
already depleted all the good resources and
yeah, pretty much. And I suppose water maybe would be the one thing, but like, okay. And the point that I made in that video was if they have the technology to get here and conquer Earth, they have the technology to like transmogrify matter. Like they don't need anything and they don't need people. They probably have robots and shit or like mind powers or something.
or what if these are the reptilian overlords and they've been terraforming the Earth, so all this climate change was to make it nice and toasty warm for their cold blood.
It that well, I mean, yeah.
So maybe it is perfect for them and they're gonna be here in November to take it over.
Yeah, and I'm not of the mind that thinks that like the things that we're seeing in the sky and let's be clear, the UFO phenomena or UAP phenomena is a real thing, but I don't believe it's necessarily aliens. But like from another planet or another star system or something like that. I,
Hmm.
I'm more inclined to believe in like the interdimensional sort of thing. That might make a lot more sense. Because even going at light speed, you just the galaxy alone is pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
Like at light speed, what is it like 200 light years across or 200,000 light years across, right? Something like that.
It's big. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and then there's probably a lot more juicy targets in the galaxy. So like, why here? Um,
Right.
so chances are it's probably something. If it is, let's say there is an invading force or something observing us or fiddling around with stuff. It's probably been here for a long time. It could have been us from maybe it's us from the future or something. Like who knows? Like
Or us from the past.
us from the past. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we created all this great technology, destroyed the earth, and then we're like, let's let it simmer for a few millennia and then come back, you know.
Well, actually, that's a good point. That concept that Earth, the people of Earth used to be advanced and then basically destroyed themselves one way or another, um, and started over again, has some merit as far as I'm concerned. Like, there's a little bit of validity there. That there's enough evidence. I mean, we talk about the mana machine and things like that. That maybe that's a product of some past advanced civilization that
Yeah.
nuked itself into oblivion or whatever. If you read the Mahabharata, it talks about nuclear war and spaceships and all kinds of shit. And it's like, well, where the hell did that come from? If it wasn't passed down from the survivors of that war years ago, like
Mm.
that is a very odd thing to fabricate, you know. um so it's possible that
Well,
like maybe some people managed to escape and hide out somewhere. I mean, of course Mars used to be more habitable, so maybe that was a place where human-esque beings lived and things changed. Well, and you have the asteroid belt. There's like potential for a past collision between planets that shifted things and pushed things out of orbits. And so it's like, oh, Mars used to be a great place to live, and now it's becoming a desert. Oh, Earth used to be too hot, and now it's becoming temperate. So that could happen. And
mm.
and there may be beings out there hanging out. That, I don't know. I mean, the
I
moon.
I can't remember the whole plate tectonics thing, but with Pangea was the land mass that is now Antarctica, was that always at the pole or did that shift
I think
at
it
some point
shifted.
too?
Yeah, I
So
believe it was kind of like central. The whole landmass was central, and everything pushed outward from that point.
So if everyone all is all like, there couldn't have been a civilization because there would be some remnants of it. What if it's all buried under miles of ice in
Or
Antarctica, you know?
molten, yeah, magma.
Yeah.
Like because yeah, we see that things there's subduction and things like that. So shit could get pushed down and melted, and like there'd be no evidence. Well, and we even see that too. Like look at Pripyat, uh, where the Chernobyl accident happened. Like it hasn't been that long since that happened. I mean, that was 1986, and it is already being reclaimed by nature. Like those buildings are falling apart and crumbling. There's like trees growing up from everywhere. Like it would not take that long for that to like disappear and be like no evidence to be left behind.
Hmm.
Like it hasn't even
Yeah.
been 100 years, like a fraction of that, and it's already difficult to, there's things being lost.
Well,
So imagine,
especially if dwelling was more integrated with nature, like tree
Yeah.
houses and stuff like that. And maybe the climate was so well attuned to whatever life there was at that time that they didn't even need that much shelter,
That could be. Yeah, it's
you know?
totally possible. Well, and yeah, they might have used building materials that don't survive. It just depends because it's like we do that today. Sure, we could build concrete houses, but most houses are made of wood. So, if you left that alone
Well,
for 100 years,
here they're made from stone, like mortar and stuff like that. Like
yeah, yeah.
you hardly ever see any kind of wood houses, like apart from the roof, um, and like the interior, but
Hmm.
all
Well,
the
and
exterior
imagine
is stone.
even if it was stone, imagine if there was like a cataclysmic event, right? Some kind of massive earthquake, a big tsunami that swept across the earth, and just
Yeah.
knocked everything down and churned it up into the dirt. Like all that stone shit would just be just stone in the dirt, underwater, whatever, like the there would barely be any record. Like, you go to the pyramids in Giza, right? The only reason they're there is because it's basically a desert now. But if it were Tacoma with all the rain, yeah, those things, all that shit would be gone. There'd be nothing. So,
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of desert there.
mhm.
Uh,
Well, but it didn't used to be a desert too, a long
hmm.
time ago. It was much more like, I think, more kind of tropical, I want to say, a lot wetter.
Well,
But
we're even seeing changes in climate so drastic to the point where now New York City has been classified as subtropical.
yeah, yeah, which is,
New York City is
yeah,
subtropical.
that's interesting. I mean, things change and life will adapt and potentially survive, I think.
New
Uh,
York City.
get a rope. I bet you didn't think I would pull that one out. Hmm. Points for people who remember that one.
Yep.
um, yeah, but going back to that object, like there have been a lot of weird objects that have been observed, since we've been observing, and most of it turns out to just be nothing, which makes sense because there's a lot of stuff flying around through the solar system, and the Kuiper belt is just, stuff is always being pulled in from there, and there's planetoids and all kinds of stuff. um, but I mean, yeah, if that trajectory is as you're saying, that's one of those things where it's like, all right, you know generally speaking, you would just be like, it's probably nothing, right? But if something is sort of looking kind of sus, that's where it's like, oh, hey, maybe let's stop and observe this and pay attention. Just don't pretend like it's nothing, because like, again, it is, the chances are not zero.
Hmm. Well, the, probably not related whatsoever to the Harvard thing. The White House recently said something about releasing all the UFO information or something,
Yeah.
probably as a distraction from all the Epstein stuff, but
Could be.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but what
Well, no, they
if
already.
that does happen where they release all that stuff, it would be interesting if some of that kind of lent credibility to this, and then
Mhm.
basically
Well,
last minute we're like, oh, well, shit.
yeah, exactly. Well, and
Thanks for the heads up.
I know. Well, and maybe like you said, the current push to release the UFO stuff might be a little bit of monkey dust, but it was from day one on the
Mhm.
docket. There were a stack of different things that were supposed to be released, and so they're going down the list essentially, and that's the one that I really want to see. I know
Yeah.
that probably a lot of the JFK and MLK shit, and definitely Epstein stuff, it's basically been trash canned and burned. Like there's probably no real information that we could that would be valuable. Um, and but like with the UFO stuff, yeah, the military has certainly been tracking this for a long time. Um, I mean, the recent shift in the Pentagon to telling the public, like, hey, if you see something weird, let us know. Because like this might be a national security thing. Which if okay, if the military is taking that seriously, like the Pentagon, because like they have access to everything, they know the technologies that every single country has.
Yeah.
So if they're concerned about this, okay, well, this is definitely something different. Um, and
Yeah.
a lot of credible people have come forward and said, yeah, we've recovered non-terrestrial materials and stuff. Like these are not people; they're trustworthy people. Um, so that lends credibility, and it's like they have a lot of documents for sure. And like I'm real curious to see that stuff. Chances
I
are
wonder how do we know that something isn't from Earth though? Because I mean, unless it's actually some kind of chemical composition that we've never observed before, like
well, I think
fabricated into something, right? Not just like a
it,
lump of rock, but
yeah. I think it comes down to comparison to known terrestrial materials and technologies. Um, so it may be made of stuff that exists on Earth, but it may be something that an object that doesn't exist on Earth or shouldn't exist.
hmm,
But
there's a lot
yeah,
of things that shouldn't exist.
yeah, this is true. This is true. But that was a different kind of philosophical angle there. But I mean, I I know 100%, and I've seen it myself, like witnessed weird things in the sky. So it's like I know whatever this is an actual thing that's happening. There's so much, there's a mountain of evidence to support it. Um, and so, but it's like, well, what is it? I honestly, genuinely don't know. Is
So
it
what is
something?
it?
Yeah, is it something that's always been with us from the beginning?
Probably. I mean, the beginning of what, I guess, is the question.
Well,
But
recorded history, I suppose, or
yeah, because I mean, there is like stuff that definitely could be interpreted as what a few of us still see to this day. Um,
mm,
all the chariots of fire and blah blah blah.
yeah,
Um,
the Vimana, and
what's
that
that?
the Vimana, there that's the from the Mahabharata. They're like a spaceship type of
Uh,
chariot of the gods, essentially.
mhm. Yeah, like stuff like that makes me wonder, could all that stuff also have alternate explanations in nature? Yeah, probably.
Sure.
Uh, a friggin' shooting star could be a chariot of fire too.
Yeah.
Um, but it leads one to wonder when you put all the puzzle pieces together, like this God that does all these amazing things for a short period of time and then disappears.
Yeah.
Eh,
Huh.
uh,
Yeah. Hmm.
and really, like, there was a good chunk of recorded history where there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that could be interpreted that way, and then it kind of like resurfaced.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we are witnessing the second coming of quote unquote God.
Yeah. Well, and that
Yeah.
I've always like believed, at least in my more or less adult life, that a lot of that has to do with some body that is orbiting, has like a really long orbit through the solar system and comes around every once in a while. And there's probably something living there. And so like that would kind of explain the cyclical nature of these stories.
Well, and they just recently discovered a whole bunch of, well, like a ninth planet and then a whole bunch of like smaller planetoidy, blue, green, and planetoidy things
Mm-hmm.
um, in our own solar system. So like we're still discovering uh, potential surfaces for
Yeah.
things to dwell upon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and if you think about it, like if we're talking about going to Mars and like building shit that allows us to actually live there, even though nothing can live there as
Yeah.
we know it,
Yeah.
why couldn't that have been done by other beings with more sophisticated technology, you know?
This is true. Well, and if you have the right conditions, like let's say you have a molten core, you have a source of energy. Now, I don't know, something on a long orbit could have that. Maybe if it has a moon that happens to be a companion, that could be tugging and creating that like
Well,
motion.
yeah, this ninth planet actually, I was reading up on it. It does have a molten core.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you brought up a good point too, that we know a lot about the solar system and celestial stuff, but like there's also a hell of a lot that we don't know. We're learning new things every day.
yeah.
Uh, it, the, the Voyager probes are just now leaving what is effectively the solar system. That's the furthest out we've gotten, and they're essentially dead. They're like they can only like they weren't even designed for that kind of a mission. You know, the 5 year mission turned into like a 40 year mission or 50 year mission. Um, and
And
they're
they're
still
still in the solar system, really.
just barely. I think Voyager 1 just left the solar system proper.
Wow.
Um, and and so that's like, yeah, that's 50 years that launched in the 70s. uh
Jeez.
and sure, the RTG power cell doesn't provide that much power and it's so far away. Like the transmissions are difficult to detect. It can only certain things operate on it. um that is incredible. I should have been wearing
Well,
my Voyager t-shirt that I made.
well,
um
yeah, it wasn't even supposed to last more than a couple of years, right? And it's
yeah.
amazing that we still get any kind of telemetry
Well,
from it.
yeah, it was supposed to run to like, oh, it's going to go check out Jupiter and Neptune or something, I think, like a couple things, and then just that's it. But after it did that, they're like, well, we could keep going. So they did. And they've been shutting down system after system trying to keep it alive because the radioactive power source is dwindling in output. So it doesn't put out nearly as much power as it did before. And obviously, you still have to be able to transmit. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. Like,
Huh.
but that's the thing. It's like that we haven't seen that much out there. I mean, yeah, we sent that probe to Pluto, which was awesome. That was cool. But there's so much other shit out there. It's like we can kind of see some stuff, but not all of it.
So wait, we sent something to Pluto, but Voyager is just now leaving the solar system? Is that just like an an advancement in speed? That
Yeah, well, it and also purpose. I think that was the Huygens probe that went to Pluto, but it went,
Huygens.
yeah, yeah, it went there specifically to check out Pluto and not like
Hmm.
continue on. So yeah, but we don't have that many probes out there that have checked everything out. I mean, there have been a few that went to asteroids. I can't remember. I think there's has it been done, or is there a plan to send a probe to a comet? Something like that. But the point is, there's so much stuff out there that we've never seen and we know nothing about. And that's just our solar system.
Hmm.
I mean, we do have nearby stars that are relatively close. Proxima Centauri is 4.5 light years away. That's not that far in the grand scheme of things. Um, in fact,
Well,
to the point where if you could develop almost like near light speed vehicles, it'd be like it'd be a long journey, but you'd get there in your lifetime.
the um the calculations they make for probability on life in the universe is technically based on life as we know it.
This is
So
true.
the Goldilocks zone for human-like, or let's say Earth-like life forms to exist
Car-
upon.
Carbon based. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But even Earth-like life forms has to include bacteria, which there are bacteria or even tardigrades that can live out in the the cold vacuum of deep space,
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
like in molten lava. So there's a wider array of capable life forms. The question is like, of those, wider arrays, how many could develop intelligence and sentience and
Well, you give it billions of
technology and blah blah
years.
blah. But yeah.
Well, and one promising alternative to carbon based life forms is silicon based life forms.
Yep. Hmm.
They have some advantages and could emerge just like carbon based stuff did. So maybe, who
Hmm.
knows? But I was just watching clips from the movie Arrival, which because it's like a lot of times you see it's Star Trek, right? The aliens are mostly humanoid looking
Yeah.
generally, and in this they're like a big like octopus looking thing, um, and yeah, but there's certainly life out there. I know the odds are slim, but there's so many stars out there, so many galaxies. I mean, just limitless, unfathomable quantities of stars that have planets. We used to back in the day. I remember in the '80s and stuff. I have my old astronomy handbook from back then, and it was speculating about planets around other stars, saying like, well, it could be. And now with like Kepler and some of the other space probes that we have, basically every star has planets around it.
Hmm.
So like, well, and you have super Earths and stuff like that. Um, Everywhere, every star has planets, pretty much. And so like, there has to be life out there. Now, is it? Will we ever meet them? Will we ever encounter them? Probably not. I mean, the universe is expanding, so that's a problem. So we would need faster than light travel to be able to get there, essentially. But
What isn't it true that we know more about our solar system than our own oceans,
I, yeah,
or at
yeah,
least about the same, like, so would
yeah,
would
there's a
you
lot of.
personally feel more excited to learn that there's a sentient form of life here on Earth that we've never even come across yet, or aliens from another world? Like,
I think the former.
yeah,
I
me
think
too.
well, and if you like some of the UAP stuff, some of the videos and the testimony, there's a lot of things that come out of the oceans and are able to just dip in and out of the water as if it's not even there.
Yeah.
And and there's a lot of close connections with the oceans and water and UFO stuff. Um, so, well, yeah, like you said, we there's a whole lot of unexplored shit down there, um, and there absolutely could be sentient life. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it's the previous human civilization from, you know, like 100,000 years ago or whatever, that they're
Mhm.
like, ah, shit, the climate's getting crazy. We got to do something. So they were like, well, let's go underwater. And they did. And they're like,
Actually, I
oh,
wonder if that's a viable solution for our current society.
I'd say so.
Like,
Yeah.
like I bet that that would be, I mean, we know far more about how to survive underwater than
Mm-hmm.
we do about surviving on Mars.
Yeah.
And and
No,
it's
you're right.
way
Yeah.
easier to get to the ocean
Yes.
than to
Yes, it
Mars.
is.
So I wonder if we should just be like, oh shit, time to go underwater.
Mm-hmm. It'd be doable.
Yeah.
It would totally be doable. I mean, that would, sure.
Well, and if you think about it, like temporary um, domiciles at varying depths um, over generations,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be like a fast migration, but it would be possible, seeing like Sherpas and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
for humans to kind of like a soft evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's more of an adaptation that gets carried generation to generation
So
rather
wait,
than
wait.
like,
Now you're making me think of Waterworld.
I mean, kind of, except for like creating gills in your neck, but
Yeah.
um,
But
like,
adapting to life within the water
yeah,
and
yeah. I mean,
depths and things
like,
like that.
I, I don't call it evolution because technically, like, for one species to evolve to the next, it generally involves like an inability to breed with one another, and
Yeah.
in these short-term windows, that's not really the case. So
Yeah,
it's
well, and I mean, I'm thinking more,
like you could have sex with a Sherpa and have a human child that could have a child of its own. So, like,
yeah, yeah. Well,
and they'd probably be pretty good at breathing in high altitudes, but
what I'm thinking of, like, for the future in that regard, like living under the ocean, um, is more technological. Like we could
mhm.
build structures under the water and survive there, and it would be like everything would be relatively stable for the most part. Um, Also, another consideration too is how much surface area of the Earth is ocean
Right.
compared to the land. Like there's a lot of space there, and then what you're saying, the varying depths, like yeah, you're dealing with 3D space there, where generally on the surface of Earth, we're kind of in like a really thin layer on the surface, and
Oh, yeah.
the oceans are deep. So we could have trillions of people living in
I
the
mean,
ocean.
technically, we do build up into the
We do.
sky,
We do,
but
but it's not much. I mean,
yeah.
Burj Khalifa, I suppose, being an exception for that would be akin to something really deep in the ocean. Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, I think that might be. I wonder if anyone is putting any research effort into that.
Probably, and I'm sure there have been at least one or two sci-fi novels written about such things.
Well, yeah, but
It well,
like
but
this would be the time to start preparing some plans for that contingency anyway.
mhm.
Um,
Well, it would certainly compensate for any kind of extremes for
if
sure.
nothing else, that would be a great excuse for the more intelligent of our species to just escape all the idiots
Yeah,
and be like,
yeah,
you know what? All this like governments and economy and like all this make believe shit that we're being fed as like facts of nature. can just die and rot up here.
Well,
We're going into the ocean, you know?
and in fact, in that case, it's like, yeah, you knock yourself out, do whatever you want to do. You can have
Hmm.
nuclear war, and we'll be fine deep in the
Exactly.
oceans. Like, whatever. Okay, well, we'll wait a while and then come back on the surface and scavenge your leftovers. Um, well, and even in the interim too, you have international waters. There have been people who have brought up the idea of floating communities, basically a bunch of boats tied together out in the middle of the ocean and stuff that are completely independent from anything.
Yeah.
That concept scares governments, though. They don't want that because if
I
success happens, they'd be, yeah,
I feel like that's way too easy to like wipe off the face of the planet with a missile, though.
yeah.
Like,
It is. It's
so
very,
going
very.
under the water
Mhm.
increases your odds of escaping that threat a little bit.
Quite a bit, actually.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Well,
still submarines that they could send, but you know,
but only so many, and you could probably have
yeah,
your own submarines too
right.
for countermeasures. You got depth charges and shit that you just like let go, you know. Well, and it's very hard for at least most modern weapon systems to get anything that far down. Like if you're just a little ways under the water, you're pretty much good.
Mm,
It's also really hard to find somebody under the water. Obviously, they have sonar shit and whatnot, but like it's very easy to disappear.
yeah.
Well, like you said, we haven't even explored the oceans. We have all this tech. Like we barely scratched the surface there. So it'd be pretty easy to disappear.
Think about that. That would be so awesome. Like, you no more wasps, um,
Yeah. Oh, dude, yellow
no more
jacket.
sunburns. Like,
Yeah, no sunburns. Yeah, dude. Oh man, no more rain. Oh yeah.
there's
Well,
actually
because
a lot of, I mean, you'd probably miss stuff like the sun. You'd you definitely have to like compensate for that with supplementation of vitamin D and
yeah, or
like
occasional.
getting food that's not just fish would
Yeah,
be a challenge too, like, proper vegetation and all that. But
there might be ways. I mean,
yeah.
at least in the short term, you could do nuclear power, and then you're good.
Mhm.
At that point, you could probably run for
Well, you
a
probably don't
century.
even need that because like you're surrounded by fucking ocean, which has a natural current,
Yeah.
and you can just utilize the current to generate hydroelectric energy.
Well, and you can also there's a lot of geothermal down there too.
Yeah.
um, Certain places there's with all the volcanic activity, tons and
Yeah.
tons of energy down there. Well, and you'd obviously want to diversify. You don't wouldn't want to rely on just one source of energy.
Hmm.
You could also have like something that comes to the surface every once in a while and recharges or whatever, or a light pipe that just is like a lens that brings the sun down to the depths of the ocean during the day and pops up randomly so nobody knows where it's coming from. um it, yeah, well, and I mean that's more of a like a prepper bug out sort of scenario, but just from the standpoint of a survival situation, like let's say things got really bad on earth for one reason or another. um Being under the ocean, you could totally survive. There's what moon is it? Oh geez, is it Europa or Titan? There's a couple of moons out there in the gas giants, where there's probably liquid water, and
Huh.
people are saying the temperatures are such that life could exist. Like there's like the potential for life on these moons. You wouldn't want to be on the surface, especially by Jupiter, because the radiation would be like you would die in seconds. Well, you'd be a dead man walking in seconds, let's say. But beneath the water, you'd be pretty sheltered. Um, so like that's one of the things we Earth could survive for a really long time. Like humans and life in general could survive under the water um, for a really long time. And
I'm
another
on
thing
board.
too, well, and the premise of uh, the the movie Waterworld was
Hmm.
like, oh, it got warm and it melted the polar ice caps and water levels rose. And well, okay, well now there's more water.
Am I alone in thinking that was actually a really good movie?
I no, I love that movie.
I
I
thought it
love
was
it.
great.
It
Uh,
it feels a little like a circus show kind of at times.
I
And
mean,
and
for the mid 90s, though, like I think it was really well
no,
done.
it was a great movie. And I man, dude, that was my sort of inspiration to get a sailboat was that trimaran that the
Yeah.
Mariner had. Like, oh my God, I loved that thing. And the idea of just like living on the water. Oh, like, oh my God. No, it's a great movie and it's fun. That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like it, it's a fun movie. And has an interesting premise. Actually, I also have a board game that nobody's ever wanted to play with me called Antarctica. And it's based on global warming. So warming
Huh.
temperatures, there's warring factions fighting each other over resources and stuff. And at some point, Antarctica melts, and now you have land there. And so that becomes like
Hmm.
the last place where everybody converges and winner takes all. Like it looks like a really fun game, and just
There's
like
already a Trump golf course there.
just yeah, the ice is melting, and you're like, what the hell? How did he do that? Oh man. Well, and in that, I like it is possible that there could be life living under the ocean that may be just as advanced or maybe more advanced than we are. Well, clearly, based on some of the things that I've seen, um, is more advanced than we are and is just sort of chilling, doing its thing, and maybe just checking us out, being like, all right, well, let's hope they don't nuke each other because that would suck. It kind of fuck up the ecosystem. Um,
I
so,
wonder I wonder if we could just like from the get-go lay some ground rules about like coexisting under the water,
mm,
where it's kind of like live and let live, but help each other out.
yeah.
Like
Actually, no, that's a
with
really
the nice
good. Yeah.
balance between those two,
Yep.
like general states of human conditions. Like
Hmm.
we kind of want to be left alone, but everybody needs help sometimes. So
Yeah. And if we don't work together on occasion, we're gonna disappear.
right.
And no, I
Especially
love
in the
that.
harshness of the ocean, like
Yeah, yeah. Well, and if the climate changes to such a degree that Earth is largely uninhabitable, then yeah, we it's do or die. We got to survive.
now we
No, I like
we
that.
we can't forget that the acidification of the ocean is also a byproduct of the climate change,
Mhm.
and that would be something that we might need to have in the back of our minds, but hopefully migrating beneath the ocean and just halting the damage at the level that it's at would
Mhm.
maybe kind of prevent any further um, worsening of that situation, hopefully.
And I would be
Maybe
inclined,
even like get it back to equilibrium.
and then we could just reemerge at some point in time.
Yeah.
I think too. My thought would be that the changes would be gradual enough that life in the ocean might adapt, like bacteria and algae and stuff would sort of adapt to that over several generations, and sea life and things that it might
Given
not
enough
end up.
time, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If it's slow enough. Now, if we have a nuclear war, well, that's pretty quick. Uh, you know, like that's sudden. But if oh yeah, okay, CO2 and stuff that emissions, like it's gradual enough that I think that life will adapt in one way or another. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, we have comment. Oh, hey Victoria.
Our number one fan.
Yep.
With proof. It says it right there.
Yep.
Desert rules, stealing means death, but never deny water.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
what you said, Casey, is my personal philosophy. Live and let live, but help people out.
Hmm.
Like, I want to be left alone. I want everybody else to be left alone. But hey, if somebody's in need, I'll give what I have to help. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to give like if I all I have is like one canteen with water. Okay, you can have a sip of that or something. But if I give you that, then now I'm in trouble.
Well, I feel like we're at a point where we could take what we know and bring it under the ocean
Mm-hmm.
in a way to live in the most minimalistic fashion possible. Like we actually could grow meat, vegetables, all that stuff in a laboratory under
Yep.
the water.
Yep.
So we don't need animals, we don't need vegetation, grow
Nope.
lights, and massive amounts of nutrients and soil and
No.
swaths of land for things to grow in. We could
And
actually go about it in a very smart way, in a very calculated and economical and like
sure.
physically conservative way.
And a lot of those, like the resources needed, could be scavenged from the ocean, like the raw
Hmm.
materials. Like we have the technology now. Like you said, we could grow meat. Um, Energy is the only consideration, but we already kind of covered that there's multiple things. There's the
Yeah.
tides, there's geothermal, there's nuclear power. Nuclear is probably going to be the quick and dirty, like, oh, plop it down and then you establish a colony and then you know, dig it out and make it bigger. Um, but yeah, I think it could be doable.
Well, especially if like the nuclear um, facility were left to be floating at the surface. So if there ever was some kind of catastrophe, it just goes out into the
Yeah,
atmosphere we've already ruined
yeah,
and
yeah.
largely leaves the water untouched.
That's true. Well, now there's plenty of nuclear power systems that don't really have that kind of risk. So like if we're purely building these power plants for the sake of power and not for bombs, yeah, we can build power plants that are totally safe. Um,
Oh, there's a comment here. We could take what we know and just live on the land without all this bullshit, just lose the profit motive. Yeah, but what we were talking about before is just maybe the smart of us could just go under the ocean, bugger off, and leave all these rich idiots to kill themselves doing what they're doing.
mhm.
And,
Well,
and we could kind of start over in the ocean.
sure. Actually, well, and that kind of leads into a thought too that I had about that is like maybe not everybody needs to go there,
No.
just some, just enough. Like
Hmm.
like if half the world population moved under the ocean and the other half just stayed on land and dealt with whatever's going on, like I think things would be fine.
Yeah.
So
Like it really would be like a frontier life. Like
yeah.
I would like to see, like I said, just bring intelligent technology down with you
Hmm.
so that you could survive on the most minimal amount of environmental impact possible
Yeah.
and make that shit like freely available. Like everybody down there can have food
Hmm.
and water and all that stuff because you need it anyway,
Well,
you
I
know?
just I just saw this last comment, a bit of Atlas shrugged bullshit there. Oh yeah, like Bioshock. which probably would happen, but it's like, hey, you know what? Whatever. If they're over there and we're over here, that's fine. Like you can't afford to be an asshole in that kind of environment. Like
Mm-mm.
it's gonna bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
So like let people do what they do, and honestly, if they're like if the wealthy and well off and the elites and stuff built an underwater community, okay, well, fine, they're down there. There you go.
Yeah.
Like nothing to worry about now. And there's probably going to be a crack in the shell, and
Well,
or some kind of
we already saw their attempt at going under the ocean didn't go so well.
yeah. Well, okay, James Cameron though, he he did a pretty good job, but you have a
He
little
went
bit
under?
to the Titanic. Yeah. Like went down there in a sub, I believe,
Hmm.
and checked it out. But it is the product of hubris, though. Is
James
people?
Cameron's a pretty brilliant guy, though. Like
Yes, absolutely. I will say that. And yeah, the other company, I mean, they did go down quite a few times, but just it's hubris. They
mhm.
just thought, oh, hey, well, it worked before. It's going to keep working. Why
Sheer
change anything?
fucking hubris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I
I'm on
love
board with that. No pun intended. Uh, to just go into the water and
yeah.
like
I think it's
start
worth
over there because like fuck this shit. Like fuck
yeah.
all this shit.
Hmm.
It's we've overstayed our welcome on the surface of the earth, I
Hmm.
think.
Well, and even a few people experimenting, making these attempts, the frontier people trying to build underwater communities. Like, okay, there's our experiments and our information for the future should things go worse, right? So now we have a better idea of how to do that. And honestly, it's like, hey, I I'm kind of shocked that just popped into my head. I'm kind of shocked that there's people talking about going to Mars and building a colony there, building a colony on the moon, like one of the most inhospitable, two of the most inhospitable places that we can think of. And
Mhm.
we haven't even built a thriving community under the water.
Right.
Like, but that would be the
Like,
perfect time. Look, okay, so the astronauts, like NASA, their test thing where they do training and stuff is a huge giant underwater pool where they have things set up and that they put on spacesuits and they do practice and training underwater. Why aren't we doing that with colonies? Right? Like, why
yeah.
do we think that how do we have this notion that we're gonna, oh yeah, we're just gonna plop down on Mars and put up a couple of, I don't know, buildings or something where everything's gonna be hunky dory? Like, well, we haven't even tested that, and we have the perfect environment to do that.
And you know what? Like we started talking about like aliens and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into living under the ocean. It wouldn't it be funny if we move under the ocean and try to set up colony there, and then come to find that dolphins and octopuses and octopuses,
Octopi, I guess. Yeah.
octopi, um,
Octopussy. Yeah.
they're super intelligent. We already know that, but like, what if they're like, hey, well, now that you're down here, let's give you some tips, and we're all like, "What, you can talk?" And they're like, well, yeah, but we just never had anything to say to you guys because we thought you were too dumb, you know?
Yeah. 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 Or there's another whole civilization, humanoid-esque civilization that's deep down there that's like, oh, hey, welcome. You
Yeah.
finally came here.
Like it doesn't all have to be colonialism. Like
No.
it could be, one big happy underwater family
Well, and
in a yellow
that is,
submarine.
yeah, and that is something that I think about all the time is like, the whole concept of colonialism is stupid because it's like it, when you look at the cosmos and the scale of things and how improbable life is, like this is a really remarkable place and we have to preserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to work together to do that. Like, sure, 1,000 years ago, warfare was practical, right? But okay, well, maybe not now. Like,
No.
warfare today is much more destructive than it was back then. Uh,
Palestine is almost wiped off the planet. Like
yeah.
they're kind of on the last leg of survival,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still not able to get aid, and all the major governments are funding that shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, what
And
are we doing here? We
well,
need,
and Israel was being nice about it too. Like they were taking their time. I mean, they're a nuclear power.
I don't know if that's nice.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like
Just rip the band-aid off if you're gonna do it. Like,
they're holding back, is what I'm saying. Like compared to what is possible, and that's the most. That's the thing that scares me the most is like the amount of destruction that we have at our disposal is too much.
mhm.
And I think it's one of those things we have to recognize. Like, hey, like okay, yeah, sure, win the battle, but lose the war. You know, like this is all we've got. Spaceship Earth. Like
Yeah.
we got to take care of
And
it.
and why would we go off to the next planet or moon when we
Mhm.
haven't even tried the ocean?
I, well, and also when we haven't even sorted our shit out on this planet.
Yeah.
You know, like wouldn't like it would make sense to if it was like Star Trek, right? Like, oh, Earth, it's sort of moderately utopian, like general peace. Everybody's kind of getting along. We have like it's post scarcity. Um, okay, now from this point, now we can go over there and start exploring and going and looking because
Right.
we got our own house in order, but our house is not in order. Everybody
No.
knows this. Everybody knows this. So maybe this we should be focusing on that, right? Uh, oof.
Yeah.
I mean,
I,
but I
I
do
really I
agree.
really think that's the way to go. Like that's a message we need to start putting out there because that hmm, I I would be first in line to go live underwater
Mhm.
and colonize like just kind of the new frontier.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's almost like the West back in the
yeah,
1800s and stuff. Like it's almost
you
limitless.
you have an opportunity for a clean slate, you know,
Hmm. Yeah,
like effectively.
sure.
You would, yeah, like it's international waters,
Hmm.
so like there's absolutely sovereignty
Yeah,
available there.
there is.
So you can do whatever the fuck you want down there.
Yeah, if people
And
could experiment with their own lifestyle or uh, whatever they want, like how they want to live, how they want to structure things,
mhm,
and the benefit too. Okay, on land, essentially you can walk to another place, right?
mhm.
You could fly to another place, but underwater, like deep underwater, you really have to be deliberate to go somewhere else, and it's kind of risky. Like,
Mhm.
oh well, if they pop your submarine, well, you're fucked. You know,
Yeah.
uh, and so like there'd be sort of an incentive for people to work together in that regard,
Mhm.
and that, like I was saying too, like more people going underwater frees up more of the land stuff too, so that eases the pressure on the land based systems, and I think that will balance things out.
Yeah.
That's that.
Well, it definitely would reduce the carbon footprint on the surface. It might be the saving grace for the planet as a whole.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
you can have a closed ecosystem. Actually, so just an aside, back in high school, I don't remember. I think I got a snail. I had a fish tank, right? I got a snail, and I was like, "Oh, a snail, those are cool." And it had babies, and there were hundreds of snails, all these little snails. And I'm like, "Ah, crap, they're everywhere. What am I gonna do?" So I found like I had this little glass vial with a cork, and I thought I'm gonna make a little like necklace ecosystem. And what so I took a little bit of there was like a plant. I can't remember the name of the plant, but it was like growing, and I cut a little bit off, stuck it in there with some rocks and the snail, and corked it with a little bit of air, and it worked. Like I made it into a necklace, and I just carried it around, and it lived for a really long time, like months,
Wow.
and that's with me carrying it around, which is like, okay, that's probably the issue there, but like we can easily have that. So yeah, we don't have to have any emissions whatsoever.
Snails like carry their eggs in their cheek, it, like balloons up and
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
weird. That's weird. Huh.
interesting stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we have some comments too. So
But the water isn't just empty. There's ecosystems there to fuck up. Hell, we are managing from here. Yeah.
this is
I
true.
mean, well, I mean that's kind of what I was saying is like we really got to do it intelligently and set ground rules from the beginning. Like, you know, keep it as simple as possible. Like, like pack it in, pack it out,
Yep.
leave as little impact as possible.
Well, in,
You
in in
know,
my world, it's called leave no trace.
yeah, and like that's why I'm saying like just use what's there, you know, hydroelectric power from the currents and the tides and everything, um,
And work,
geothermal from your proximity to the
yeah,
core, and
and work with nature, not against it.
mhm.
Like that is something like, yes, a long time ago, human beings had to work against nature. Like nature was deadly, highly deadly. Like we were supple pink little meat sacks that like nature could just chew up and spit out like nothing. So we had to fight. Um, but we've achieved a level of advancement and technology where we don't have to do that anymore. Like we now know things about stuff, and we can work beside nature. And honestly, that is the way forward. Like if we want spaceship Earth to survive and thrive for more millennia, that's the only way that we're going to do that. And I think it comes down to, geez, a lot of things, but yeah, like a philosophy of working together and not working against each other. It's
Well,
like a keto, right?
yeah. Well, as the comments here say, because humans are so good at rules, trying to do that here and still are. Yeah, but there's how many rules? Like,
Yeah.
just just look at the IRS tax code alone.
Oh
You know,
my God. Yeah.
like it the simpler you make it, the easier it is for people to not only follow rules, but to understand and trust in them.
Yeah.
Like if you can understand something, it makes logical sense. There's no reason to go against it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is like this prevalent in America, especially. There's this adolescent behavior of being like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. The Rage Against the Machine thing,
Yeah.
right? It's like, but when it makes sense, when it when it's so simple that it's easy enough for you to see that it benefits you as much as it benefits your neighbor.
I
then
would
people
say
really aren't going to go against that, you know?
yeah, like here's a good example of a rule that you people follow because it's stupid not to. Seatbelts. Like,
Mhm.
sure, if you're driving without a seatbelt, you're going to get a ticket. Um, People don't wear seatbelts because they're afraid of getting a ticket. They're wearing seatbelts because they've seen the fucking videos of
Yeah.
accidents where
Everybody
people,
knows Def Leppard. Oh,
yeah, oh
wait, he
yeah,
was wearing a seatbelt.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. It's like,
exception to the rule.
yeah. So there are things that are just common sense, and I think that's like if rules are common sense, where it's like, oh, well, yeah, of course, like, oh, well, and this goes back to my engineering mindset of everything, and when it comes to engineering, simple solutions are often the best. And when it comes to rules, it's the same way. You try to over engineer things, and now it's too complicated and it gets confusing, and mistakes are made. Like, no, keep it simple, stupid. The KISS principle, right? Like, they're, they're just simple things. But here's the problem: we have idiots in charge, and idiots over engineer things. They don't know enough about a thing to craft a really well made set of rules because they don't understand how things work and they don't care to understand. So that's, I think, one of the things we need intelligent people to analyze things and take it from an engineering standpoint. Um, oh yeah, yeah. The, yes, people do. I still see people with babies in laps in the front seat here going 60 down the freeway. Yeah,
Where is
I
that?
I I saw a dude like driving down the freeway with a newspaper unfolded over the steering wheel that he was like controlling with his knee, and he had a bowl of fucking cereal that he was eating while he was reading the newspaper driving down the freeway.
Who
Like,
reads a newspaper?
well, hey, I'm dating myself here. Like that was a while ago. But like, yeah, I've seen some, and of course, people doing makeup. They got their visor down and they're doing this while driving down the freeway. Like, I mean, Darwin Awards, right?
Right.
Like, eventually, that gene pool will be eliminated if we just let it happen. Like, maybe these rules. Actually, you know what? That's a good point. Maybe these rules are keeping the idiots alive.
Oh yeah.
Like, what if we just? So I had this idea, and I've probably brought it up at some point on this show. Instead of an airbag for the driver's steering wheel, right? You have the explosive charge for the airbag, but it's down in the steering column, and the end of the steering column is a spike. So if you get in an accident, it fucking impales you. Like, and so many people I brought that up to, they're like, "Oh my god, that's just terrible." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you would be damn cautious, right? You'd be just like super careful and aware of what's going on around you, because the last thing you'd want to do is get in an accident and deploy that airbag."
Okay, Thanos.
Yeah, but it would work. People would be real nice because cars are too safe, I think, and that uh, they are too
Well,
safe.
okay, there's a comment here that stupid isn't genetic for the most part. It might be. The problem is people tend to procreate before they do something stupid enough to get themselves killed.
Well,
So,
it's also like generational, so it's like familial. So you learn
mm,
from your family and pass that on. So it may not be genetic, but it's like still connected with the genetic, like the family essentially.
yeah.
Um,
But I mean, like, there is something to be said for removing some of the safety precautions that we have.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah, like there's a comedian Jimmy Carr from the UK. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I've seen some of the stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, he was like, like maybe there is something to overpopulation. I think we should just get rid of health and safety, like, all these signs like don't dive in the hot tub. That's there because some dumb cunt did that, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well,
if you
and
you take those things away, you
no,
start thinning out the herd a little bit.
no, this
And
is true because like when I was a kid, funny how we went from alien invasions to this, but it's I swear it's connected. Um, but when I was a kid, I was taught to like be very careful crossing the road, look
Mhm.
both ways. You'd wait for a break and like run across the road, get over there. Don't take your time, just go, 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 get across the road, or go down to a place where there's like a controlled intersection or something like that. I mean, I walked like a mile just across a highway one time, just because there's a light there and I can wait for a crosswalk signal. But nowadays, you see people on their phone. They're just looking at their phone. They're coming down the sidewalk and they just walk right out on the road. Don't even look. It's like, okay, that's dumb. Uh,
Mhm.
like we instilled in people back then a sense of self-preservation, because the world was dangerous. And now I think the world has virtually or seemingly become so safe that people are careless now.
Yeah. I I'm guilty of looking at my phone in boredom, but if I'm walking around and I come up to an intersection, I put my phone down and pay attention to what I'm doing while I
Yes.
cross the road because whatever I was reading will be there 30 seconds from now,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Well, and I don't even, if I'm sitting in an intersection waiting to turn right and there's a bunch of cars coming with their blinker on turning right into the same road, I wait until all those cars have gone by because I don't trust those guys. Like, you may just have left your blinker on. How do I know if you're going to just blaze
oh
through the
yeah.
intersection or if you're going to turn right? I can't
Yep.
trust that. And you know what? It ain't worth dying over. Like, I'll wait. It's okay. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, like
man.
taking a left turn is a liability, so you got to be real
Yeah.
careful with that.
Well,
Um,
even like UPS, the delivery company, they kind of have like a general rule of try not to turn left
yeah.
because of that, because it's super dangerous, and you got a big ass truck that's brown. Um, you know, like it's oh man, yeah, man. We have more comments.
What if I told you 50 years before we were kids, the roads belonged to people and the jaywalker, etc., was propaganda because cities were going to regulate them for being dangerous? History changes the bad guy in the story. Um, okay. So I think I see where this is going. Um, Pedestrians, bicycles, and things like that. Yeah, technically they were there first, but with the ubiquitous nature of cars and the dangerous potential behind 2 tons of speeding steel,
Or a train.
yeah, like these things are naturally going to be something that you need to give a little bit of leeway to.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so things have to change with the times, of course.
Well, and back in the day, it's like if you're a pedestrian walking and you run into another pedestrian, you bump into him, you're like, "Oh, sorry." And then
Hmm.
years later, a bicycle bumps into you and you're like, "God damn. Oh, man." You get scraped or whatever, somebody falls down. And then you have horses. If a horse runs into a pedestrian, that could also be it could actually be deadly. Cars, though, it's like almost entirely deadly. Um,
Yeah. Well,
And trains are 100% deadly. If you get hit by a train, you're snuffed out like that. Uh,
what's cool here in Germany, because of course, like the roads are narrow. They
mhm.
have to be because
Yeah.
history, right? And um, at least where I live in Germany, like there are bike lanes on the sidewalk
Hmm.
wherever possible.
That's where they should
And
be.
and then where it's not possible, then they put a bike lane on the street. Now, of course, bicyclists are all assholes, and even if there's a bike lane on the sidewalk, they'll be in the street slowing down everybody else. But
Any bicyclist that's wearing something with like a company logo on it, yeah, they're an asshole. You see somebody in like shorts and a t-shirt, they're probably fine.
yeah,
Just
if
saying.
the person on the bike, you can tell what religion they are, like
Yeah,
they're an
yeah,
asshole.
exactly. Well, one of the things I think is separation. And civil engineers have been contemplating this for a long time. Obviously, it's really hard to go back after the fact once things have been established and improve things. But like Frank Lloyd Wright, one of my favorite architects of all time, he had a design that was like a layered road system. So you
Hmm.
had like a lower system that was more utilitarian. You had the upper level that was like cars, and then you had another level above that was like a bunch of walkway pathways with bridges and stuff. So the pedestrians and everything were completely isolated from the cars and the trains and the trucks, um,
Yeah.
which makes a hell of a lot of sense, honestly. Like, okay, that's a huge endeavor to do, but like, oh, okay, well, if you're building new stuff in a city, why not
You,
just start that way?
you only have to do it where it's a problem.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
look at 38th Street in Tacoma over I-5. They put a
Mm-hmm.
pedestrian bridge there. How
Yeah,
hard was that? You know,
yeah, it was probably overpriced, but I'm sure wasn't that big of a deal. And look at how it changed things.
yeah.
Like, yeah, see a problem, solve a problem, and ugh, yeah, man, how do we get here from UFOs?
Right.
How do we get back to UFOs from here?
Well,
Hmm.
I think the reason we got here is because we started surmising that maybe the UFOs are just humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they had a better idea of how to do things and they just buggered off to whatever hole,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's Antarctica or the ocean or whatever,
All
inside
the
of a
above,
mountain. Yeah,
or
like,
even the moon.
yeah,
Like,
like they don't have to be far away in a different galaxy, like some unfathomable distance that physics can't explain.
mm-hmm.
Maybe they're just right in our backyard and they had a better idea. And maybe
And
all we need is a good idea to just, because I honestly, like, when you think about how can we fix this, like this,
mm-hmm.
well, fuck, that's way harder to figure out than to be like, how can we just go into the ocean and start things in a more intelligent way from the get-go and just
Yeah,
fuck off the rest of the world? Like,
start over with a clean slate and carrying all the knowledge we have.
hmm
And well,
all the history and the
yeah,
mistakes and like
yep,
just be like, how do we avoid these mistakes
mm-hmm.
underwater?
Yeah,
Like thinking about
exactly.
that we're gonna be underwater, how do we do things in a smart way?
And this does kind of tie into what we were talking about because it's like you being underwater, it's a dangerous place. Like yeah, you can't fuck up. So it requires a community to survive living underwater. Like you got to work together. You got to get along. Um, like squabbles are verboten. Um, and also, I was thinking because what you were saying, I was thinking like about another minute microscopy that I did. Um, the Galactic Empire one. I don't know if you remember that. That was a couple
Oh
seasons
yeah, yeah.
ago, and how like there's this notion of there being this galactic empire, and some high level military people have said, ah, yeah, that's actually a thing. There is actually this conglomeration of various species from the area, uh, and they're just kind of waiting for us to get our shit together. And I was like, the point that I made in that video was like, well, why wait? Why don't we just pretend as if that's the case? That we want to show that we're good enough to be part of this community. Because once we do that, well, we've solved the problems here, and we've solved the potential future problems of dealing with a galactic empire. Because, like, if we're a bunch of assholes infighting with each other, well, they're going to squish us like a bug. Because who are you? You're of no
How
benefit
funny,
to us.
how funny would it be if this galactic empire was all these UFOs that we see splashing in and out of the ocean, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to see another set of humans that already had this idea to go under the ocean and like fuck off from the rest of us.
Our
And they're all like,
ancestors
"You
from
guys are smart. We're gonna deal with you directly."
yeah,
And
our
just
ancestors. Yeah, it's our ancestors from like 100,000 years ago. Like they're the ones that they're paying attention to, and all of us on the surface, they're like, oh yeah, those fucking primitives. Look at those guys. Well, it's kind of like Star Trek 4.
yep.
That spaceship came and wanted to talk to the whales. It didn't care about the humans. It's like, well, I'm just gonna rip the human shit apart. I just want to hear a whale. And it's like I love that movie. Like the premise of that is
Yeah.
just so good. Like that is the
Star
best.
Trek 4 is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah. Two, three, and four are probably well, and six. Six is good.
Hmm.
When Sulu is on the Excelsior.
Excelsior. Yeah.
Yeah, and the his
Shields. Shields.
oh yeah. Well, no, when the guy's like he's telling them to increase speed, and the other guy's like, well, she'll fly apart, and he's like, fly her apart then. I'm like, oh, that gives me chills every time. Oh, it's so fucking good. Yeah. Oh man.
George Takei is the man.
Totally. Oh my.
So funny that that's like a Howard Stern thing,
Mhm.
and it became like his tagline.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Oh god.
And it was all like he walks in and Howard Stern is like, "Wow, with that deep a voice, you must have a huge dong." And he was like, "Are we on the air?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh my."
Oh man, so good. So good. It's funny like the things how memes emerge essentially. Yeah. That's how we're going to communicate with the aliens, by the way, as memes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I
Maybe
do.
those aliens are underwater.
Yeah. And I do love the idea, though. I think we're kind of onto something of like building underwater communities. I mean,
Yeah.
we have the technology. People, there's like oil drilling platforms where they do maintenance and they have those little things they go down in and they stay there for like a week at a time in this little confined space. Well, they're able to do that, and that's deep. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like, well, yeah, we could easily do that, and we certainly have the capacity to develop construction techniques and materials and things like that to be able to do that. We just don't because, well, we haven't wanted to, you
Yeah.
know. Like all we have to do is want to do that, and then we'll figure it out.
And and the technology and everything, like we need to come at that with a more open mind to evidence because um this the concept of lab grown meat and vegetables and GMOs in general, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's so much stigma put on that from big pharma with an F. Um, and and everybody thinks that, like organic stuff is healthier because that's how our ancestors did it. Our ancestors who died when they were 30 or 40 years old.
Hmm.
Um, just
Yeah.
saying.
Hmm.
Because like when you look at it, right? Asian cultures are alive today because of genetic modification in
Yep.
food.
Yep. Mhm.
Yellow rice is what brought them like vitamin A and vitamin C and stuff like this into their diet, which is heavily rice based
Hmm.
and not a whole lot of meat and
And
only certain vegetables and stuff. Like it
the the
it makes
development
sense.
of maize in South America and stuff too.
Hmm.
That's all GMO. But
Yeah.
like, but it's just people. I think there's kind of a misunderstanding. Like when you're just interbreeding various species selectively, that seems to be, oh, that's natural. But oh, if you're in a lab and you're wearing a lab coat and you got a clipboard and got computers and stuff, all of a sudden it's dangerous. It's like, no, it's the
Right.
same shit, man. We're doing the same shit, just we're doing it in a different way. Like
Yeah.
it isn't.
It's it's literally like being like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna fry up these fish sticks, and you're gonna be like, oh, no, no, no. You got to put those in the oven. You can't cook them on top. You got to
Yeah.
cook them in the oven. Like it's just how you're doing it. You're just
Yeah.
changing how you're doing it. And
Oh,
and
but
the
oh,
science,
microwave.
yeah,
Don't use
like
a microwave.
the science tells us that like the health differences between organic and GMO, right? Which
Mhm.
is kind of a misnomer
It
altogether
is, yeah.
anyway, is
Because
negligible. If anything, get this, if anything, organic might be worse for your health
yes.
because the stringent rules applied to make something be considered organic require that it follows a certain set of things. Like, this is a common misconception that organic doesn't use pesticides or things like that, insecticides. You have to
Yeah.
because that's nature. Like, if you
I
don't do that, your crops are gone, right?
Yep. I
But
I know from growing them.
what they get to do is use stuff that is organic and not necessarily safety tested.
Yeah.
So you have more chemical harm potential from organic vegetables.
Hmm.
With meats, you have more potential for parasites and all that stuff. So really, when you think about it, like
Hmm.
foodborne illness is actually more plausible to come from organic food.
Well, and not only that, but organic stuff, like so genetically modified or whatever. I gotta hate that term, like
Yeah,
GMOs and stuff. But you can modify things to be more healthy, to be more
exactly.
resilient, like to not have diseases and to provide more nutrients,
Hmm.
um and maybe cut out some of the, well, if you look at like what some of the things that people take for granted today as being like organic, those are still GMOs from the past.
Right.
um like if you look at the origin species, like where
Hmm.
that came from, it's like that shit was poisonous, man.
Hmm.
Somehow human beings figured out how to make something poisonous actually delicious and
Yep.
healthy. Like, and this goes back to this is tying into like what we were talking about living underwater and stuff, that will be necessary.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just transplant land-based things directly in there and have it be perfectly fine. Now we're going to have to modify things, and you know what, we'll end up probably with some really cool new foods as a result, like foods that can grow in weird situations that might be tasty, like
Yeah.
uh,
But also, like lab growing stuff, like I mentioned earlier in the show, gets away from all the environmental aspects of uh, needing vast amounts of land and soil and nutrients for the soil and
yeah,
water and
lab grown meat. I
labor and blah blah
yeah.
blah. Like all that stuff can be taken care of by manipulating science,
Mhm.
which we're very good at. You know?
We are, yes, and we can use science and work with nature. Like
Mm.
they don't have to be opposing forces.
Right.
Um, and
And not to mention underwater, you're not even going to have the potential for insects to eat your crops and stuff like
nope,
that. So,
it's a totally controlled environment. Yeah, and lab grown meat. But I remember, I think, God, I can't remember who it was. Maybe John Stossel did a piece on lab grown meat where he like ate some and was like, ah, this is really good, and
mhm.
was kind of trying to sort of, uh, I guess, debunk the idea that it's somehow bad. It's like,
Right.
no, it's
This is the thing
basically,
people have to understand. Chemistry is everything.
yeah,
The
even
the thing,
organic, even
yeah,
in organic shit, chemistry
it's
is
all
still playing a
chemistry.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can have a nice succulent orange that you bite into and you just taste all that essential oil from the orange and it tastes great and citrusy and wonderful, right? You can synthesize the exact same flavor
Hmm.
chemically, the exact same thing. How you do it doesn't necessarily have to matter.
No, because the end product is what you're consuming.
Hmm.
The intermediate steps
Yeah,
are relevant. It's like, as long as at the end of the day what you're consuming is the same thing you would otherwise be consuming, what's the
right,
difference?
right. It's the exact same like logical fallacy where like in our generation we were taught that there's always and only one solution to a math problem.
Hmm. Oh
But
God, I fucking hate that.
in
I hated
practice, you find that there are more than one way to arrive at the same answer.
that. In fact, if there isn't, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Actually, that just little anecdote that I wanted to throw out there, because when I was taking algebra class and failing miserably, you had to show your work, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and at the time, I had a Tandy PC6 pocket computer that you could program in assembly language or basic. And I realized, oh, I could solve equations using an algorithm on this little computer. And so, it's like I go through and I solve all the things, and then the like providing the solution, how I did it, I wrote out the code for the algorithm. And the teacher was like, well, that's very clever, but I'm going to have to give you a strike for that, because that isn't the right answer. And I'm like, but I arrived at the same goddamn conclusion, bro. Like, the answer is correct. Like, my
You probably
methodology,
even literally show your work by being
I,
like, here, watch it
I,
work in
I could do,
action.
and I could punch in any equation, well, simpler ones, and get an answer using this formula. And oh, that wasn't good enough. Oh no, you gotta do it this way. Like, okay, but that's training us to be dumb. That's training us to be followers and not leaders.
Mhm.
And I don't like that. It pisses me off. So yeah.
Well, you won't always have a computer in your pocket.
But yeah, nowadays, right? Like, Jesus, most people have two.
I wonder how many people actually said that as teachers and are now just being like, oh, fuck.
I, I, it has been said to me several occasions. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that one a few times.
Hmm. Yep. Meanwhile, they don't teach abacus or slide rule use anymore, which is, actually, they probably should.
In America, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think in
I
a
think
lot of
it's still in Asia, right?
Asian countries do the abacus. Yeah, to the point where people can now, like, once they've learned on the abacus, they can do abacus math without an abacus.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you could do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, like basic stuff with an abacus. Um, yeah, uh,
Huh.
we should be teaching that, and we should be still using slide rules, because sure, your precision is not that great, but it got us to the moon, uh, and it's like it's really good for quick estimation. I have a collection of slide rules and abacuses or abaci, as the plural is known.
Sure, it got us to the moon, but can it get us under the ocean?
Well, that remains to be seen, I guess. To think we were going to do like a quick video today.
Yeah, I
Well,
guess
we have some comments though, quite a few, in fact.
oh wow. I don't even remember what we were talking about for most of.
GMOs earlier, I think that
Oh, right.
I think each GMO should be evaluated separately. It was, I think the also the didn't they ban his book when we were talking about George Takei?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, I don't think you can ban a book. I mean, a library could
Oh,
just not
yeah,
have
I
a
mean,
book, but you can't ban it. Like, well, just download the PDF. It's like it's out there. Like it's impossible now.
they can make it harder to get, I guess.
Yeah, and I think like the book banning
Well,
thing, I do want to touch on that real quick because I think like the book banning thing has more to do with like age restriction for things that might not be. Some people might feel weird about kids reading or something.
well, the title, They Called Us the Enemy. I don't know the book itself, but I know enough about George Takei's history to know that he was in a Japanese internment camp.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing right now is parallel to that with these like alligator, Alcatraz and all that stuff popping up and the shit going on in El Salvador and all that. Like I could see that being a banned book right now because that kind of casts a light on a very dark part of our present.
Well, and you also have thought-provoking books like 1984,
Hmm.
Brave New World as well, um, that kind of thing. Which, okay, like I do kind of understand if it's like an elementary school library, there's things that might be a little heavy for kids to comprehend. Maybe wait until middle school before you start opening those doors.
I mean, they already do though. Like it's actually
And
more like high school when you start reading these things. And
yeah, and honestly though, you don't
it
even
probably
have
should be sooner, actually.
well, and you don't have to ban it because kids of that age, like young kids, will be so bored by they're gonna be like, what? This is 800 pages, man. I'm not gonna read this. That's crazy. It's gonna be so boring.
1984 was pretty
No,
digestible.
that was small, but I'm saying
Yeah.
some of the heavy books,
Aldous Huxley was a little bit more dull of a
yeah.
dystopian future author, but like Brave New World was pretty good stuff, and
Oh yeah.
um, but yeah, overall he was a good author, but definitely not like middle school stuff. But
No, what
1984, I bet could be middle school.
that could be middle school. Yeah, that's comprehensible. Well, and I would say maybe not banning books, but curating the like just catering to the general digestibility of the age range that the books are available for would be fair. I yeah, I mean, that's a tangential topic.
Yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
don't know. Like that would be a good episode topic someday, like
yeah,
age restrictions
I
in general.
well, we kind of talked about that years
Yeah, but
ago.
from a different angle. That was more like,
When it comes to literature and
yeah.
things, that might be a good one.
Yeah, or literature or TV or whatever, like
Yeah.
exposing youth to things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I really agree with like holding things back until like so just a kind of like a broad overview. Like if you're at a certain age and you're exposed to something, you're not really understanding it fully anyway.
Yeah.
So like your exposure to it is really like not that impacting to your overall development. Like it just kind of goes over your head and you
Mhm.
forget about it, you know?
Yeah, well, later years you begin to start to, well, because like,
It's more about your reaction to
mhm.
their exposure to it that has the impact than the actual exposure.
Well, yeah,
You know,
and
like
so
when somebody says fuck next to your 3-year-old and you're like, don't say that, then the 3-year-old's like,
they're
because
gonna
you
say,
freaked out.
yeah, yeah, well, exactly. They're gonna
They
how
don't
many?
hear somebody say, would you like fries with your cheeseburger? And they're like, fries, 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 fries.
Yeah,
You
they're
know?
not gonna do that. No,
Yeah. It's all about the reaction. So
it's
like
because it's
you're
taboo.
your own worst enemy in that case. Like,
Exactly. Well, and the like reaction to think, because I remember sixth grade, I saw the first RoboCop movie
oh
um
wow.
at my friend's house, which is uber violent and gory. Um, lots of cussing, lots of heavy stuff in
Remember
there.
when RoboCop shot that guy in the dick?
Yeah, through the girl's dress, like between her legs. And he's like, oh, like, yeah, I remember that. And I saw that when I was in sixth grade. And I just, for me, I just saw that and I was like, oh, wow, that was a crazy movie. That was pretty cool. That was awesome. Robocop is cool. And just like the special effects were great and like the music was great. Like it was just a cool movie. And yeah, it was a little violent, but it didn't ruin me. And but having seen that and then coming back over the years and watching it again and again, it's like, oh, now it makes like it has a different meaning now than it did. Like as a kid, I couldn't comprehend the deeper uh, story to it, like the deeper meaning.
The
Um,
deeper meaning of a bullet in the dick.
no, no, the whole movie, the whole movie. But like it didn't mess me up. Just simply being exposed to that, it's like, okay, well, whatever. It's a movie.
The guy getting doused with toxic waste, though.
Okay, now that did fuck me up. I did have nightmares. Yeah, where he drives the van into
Oh, God.
the container and it's like, oh, help me, and he's like melting and shit. That kind of fucked me up. That scene,
Mm,
but it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy ass scene. Like
yeah.
it
But
didn't really
it
matter.
doesn't like shape your entire
No,
development. Like,
no, but maybe it just makes me think twice about speeding in like some kind of factory. Like, okay, maybe I'm gonna take it slow now because I don't want to end up like that guy.
right. Yeah, they always kind of miss over the positive effects of shocking imagery, you know.
And that I remember doing like forklift training and various other kinds of training where they show you all those videos of people being cut in half and stuff, like super gory shit. And like, well, you know what, that's important to see that because now you're going to be like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Like I did a whole thing with like lockout tagout, and one of the videos they showed in there was the one where that guy didn't follow procedure and wandered into that cabinet that was like 500 volts or something like that, and somebody flipped a switch somewhere and he got electrocuted and like burned up and stuff. And they literally showed that,
I
and it's
love
like,
those like safety videos from the 80s or 90s where they're like, remember there was like the guy climbing a ladder and he like puts his hand up there and there's a nail and he's like, and it, like cuts his hand in half and he falls off the ladder and
and
like
it's clearly like a
over the
stage.
top. Like,
Yeah. Uh, we have a couple comments though. Denying your kids education because you're uncomfortable is not okay. I agree
yeah,
completely. Um, it's important to because well, the world is not necessarily a safe place, so you got to prepare people, and one of the ways is showing them the danger or letting them make mistakes within reason.
yeah.
If your kid's got a knife and is sticking it into an outlet or something, okay, well, get him out of there, like, because that's game over. Um, Also, different kids are different. It's called parenting. Yes, yes, it is. That is something, and this is where, like, kind of ties into some of the things we've been talking about, like the safety aspect, and how we have too many protections, that to the point where parents, they just, it's kind of like daycare. They're like, oh, okay, the state will take care of my kids and educate them and they're going to be fine. Like, well, it's kind of like the turn indicator thing. Do you trust them to do that? uh their track record ain't so good. So as a parent, you've got to also be participatory in that, and be a teacher, be a mentor, and pass on the lessons that you've learned, probably the hard way. I know I've learned a lot of hard lessons.
It
School
it
of
is
getting the
true that
shit.
there's like different sensitivities to things, but
Mhm.
I wonder how much of that should be uh like something that you kowtow to and how much of it should be something that you kind of challenge. Um,
That's a good point.
because like sensitivity isn't something that's like ingrained in you. It can
Yeah.
be conditioned one way or the other.
Yeah.
And if you kind of pussyfoot around a sensitivity, you just make it more sensitive.
This, well, yeah, and it's never challenged. You never, like, and people are like, well, but I want them to have a childhood. I want them to be innocent. And it's like, well,
Good
innocence,
luck with that.
yeah, innocence, that's a double-edged sword there. Uh
Yeah.
and like, I I guess I can speak to my own experiences, that like, I've seen a lot of shit, and it didn't ruin me, and I still play with toys, and
Yeah.
and watch cartoons and Mr. Rogers and stuff like that, and still maintain that kind of childlike. uh
Yeah. I think I'm a pretty good case study for this because like I was a fairly sensitive child.
mhm.
Very like straight edge. Like my favorite band was the Monkees. And I remember,
Good band though.
yeah,
It-
yeah, I still enjoy their music, but
Mhm.
I remember being quite a big fan of the Monkees. The very first celebrity I met was Mickey Dolenz.
Oh,
He wrote
cool.
he wrote a book called I'm a Believer,
Mhm.
and I was, I don't know, like fourth grade or something when that came out, and actually I have it right here.
What?
He signed it.
Dude, dude, what the hell,
I
man?
got, yeah, there,
Oh my
Jacasey,
god,
Mickey Dolenz. Um,
dude.
and anyway, he wrote in here about how they would like get high and stuff. And I was a kid and I was like, "What? The monkeys get high? Oh my God." Like that was like an existential crisis for me, but I
Mhm.
got over it.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't like it ruined who I am as a person or something, you know. It
Well, and one of the, I guess something to bring up, I think that's kind of tying into this is protecting kids and maintaining innocence and stuff, and sheltering kids, and not preparing them for the potential horrors of the real world might make them susceptible to those horrors, to the point where, like, if you're exposed to certain things, like how bad things could be, you might be guarded against it as a young person, to where you're more cautious when you need to be cautious. But if you're just happy go lucky, frolicking in the flowers, well, now all of a sudden, that white van with free candy, somebody grabs you and you're experiencing the worst trauma of your life, and now you're fucked for life.
Dude,
So,
check this out. This fell
huh,
out of the book. The
huh,
receipt.
Whoa.
Dalton bookseller, September 14th, 1993. So I guess
Wow.
I was sixth grade, I guess, at that point. The
Hmm.
book with tax, 1073.
Wow.
A book
Yeah,
this big, 1073,
that's crazy. Oh my
32 years ago.
God.
Jesus.
Oh man, going back and looking through things. So I there were things when I was young that were traumatic but world building, I guess. Like built
Mhm.
me up and guarded me against stupidity. And also like prepared me for bigger things that sucked even more. Like losing somebody at a school, like when I was in middle school, a friend of mine was running home and he had a heart condition and his heart just gave out and he died, like just fell over. And we had this funeral and stuff. I think that was
Uh,
seventh grade maybe. um and so like dealing with that, uh
yeah,
losing another friend because he was stupid and was running down the train tracks and a train hit him and killed him. And ever since then, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking on those train tracks. I'm listening for the sound of the oncoming train and stuff. Like,
yeah.
you like there's traumatic things. There's it's like I don't know. I think
But sometimes, like, you can see good coming from that too, because there's
yeah.
lessons to be learned from that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, my first, I guess, introduction to peer death was also about the seventh, maybe the eighth grade. I remember they had like a little assembly after it was like the first day of school, eighth grade,
Mm-hmm.
and they informed us that one of our fellow classmates had died over the summer break or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had that happen twice actually in middle school. Um,
Man.
and and then, of course, like after high school, my friend Jeff died, and then I come to like make an album based on that,
Yeah.
like which like had had such an impact on me that it probably actually prevented me from killing myself at some point.
Yeah.
So just because something is traumatic or difficult to go through doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Even if it like harbors bad feelings within you for your entire life,
Yeah.
those bad feelings can be there as a shield against
Mhm.
bad things happening to you.
And also a tool in your toolbox, right? Like
Hmm.
having dealt with this, now you can take that and apply it to something else.
Yeah.
Losing a parent, losing my grandparents, things like that. It all of that goes back to that first friend of mine that died, and like how it brought people together too. People, there were cliques and in middle school, everybody's got their little circle of friends and stuff. But at that point, it was almost like there were no borders.
Yeah.
Everybody was grieving. Everybody was like, wow, that really sucked. Troy, wow, like he was an asshole to me, but I don't care. I'm here and I'll grieve with you. Um, and
Hmm.
so that's a good thing too, because that can also learning how fragile life is and how short it is, can be. Um,
Even for assholes.
yeah, yep, exactly. Yeah, god damn. I had something in my head and I was thinking about it and I completely forgot. Shit. Oh well.
That's that's one lesson that I think is a little misleading, is that assholes can die early. Usually they tend to become rich politicians and live very long lives.
Yeah, only the good die young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of these lessons are misleading.
Hmm.
I'll give into that point.
Yeah, yeah, true. Let's see. A kid needs to know their parents are a safe place to run to. Yes. And
Hmm.
if you're a parent, yeah, you got to be one of those stoic people who will, like, no matter what, your kid can come to you and talk to you about whatever the hell's going on. Because they probably don't know how to deal with it, and you probably do. And like, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Parents need to prepare their kids, but not become their first abuser. Yes. that's that's probably worse than a stranger being the abuser, because like
Yeah.
your parents are your trust structure. They're the ones that you love. They supposedly love you. And I mean, orders
The
of
question is,
magnitude more.
how are you defining abuse though? Like,
This is where, because this goes into like spanking. um
hmm
you
hmm
know if we I think we've talked about that a little bit.
Spanking or just pushing the edges of comfort.
Hmm.
Where are you drawing the line between abuse and preparing, you know,
Yeah. And
for reality?
I think
Like,
that comes with knowing the child, like knowing where they're at, and only pushing things as far as they should be pushed. um but things can go too
wh-
far.
I mean, what's as far as should be pushed?
Well,
Like,
it's subjective. That's the problem.
shouldn't you always
It,
push a little further than that?
Probably yes. Well, it's like, you have a workout coach or something, and they're like,
Hmm.
one more rep, come on, you could do it, just one
Yeah.
more, and then you do the one more, and they're like, one more, like,
Yeah.
just over the
Without
edge.
that, you don't get anywhere. Like,
No.
you don't. Like, you
Hmm.
do you do only as much as you want to, and then you'll stop. But if you
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
somebody with you saying you can do one more, no
Yeah.
wait, you can do one more.
It's like
And
having
even
a.
when they know they're lying, they say you can do one more, and you
Yeah.
try anyway,
Hmm.
and then your body says no. And
Hmm.
that's how you grow. Like,
Exactly. Well, it's like having.
that's the point where you need to like push your parenting to also.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's like having a wingman, essentially, like a life wingman.
mhm.
And and that's where I don't like the state being involved in stuff like that, because the state is uh, like rigid.
Yeah, you
So
can't
there's one set
regulate.
of rules. You violate this, you cross that line, whatever. Like, that's over the top. Everything's fine below that, and then you go like a millimeter further, and that's too much.
Yeah.
No, no, no. Everything's subjective. It depends on the person, and only those persons know. Um, and so maybe having like a guidebook would be good, like a set of guides, like, oh, here's an engineering handbook for raising children. um, these are the things we've come to understand, and these are the things you might want to do in this situation or not want to do in that situation. But it's up to you, right? Because, well, we've been doing this for tens of thousands of years. I like
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know
there are books. There's Dr. Ruth, Dr. Spock, Dr. Phil, like how much credence are you going to put into these,
well,
handbooks for parenting? Like, it's something
they're
that you just have to jump into and
like,
use
learn
trial and
as you
error.
go.
You're going to
Yeah,
make mistakes and you can't like beat yourself
that
up over those,
that's
like,
the important thing, is to understand that mistakes will be made. It is
mhm,
not wrong to fail, and that is probably a good lesson to convey to your kids, that failure is perfectly fine. Failure is
mhm.
the best educator. That's when you actually learn and grow, when you fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like as long as it isn't a lethal fuck up,
Right.
that's
Like if you're beating yourself up over failing as a parent and your kid's still alive, shut up. Like
yeah.
just get back
Mhm.
to it. Like, you're gonna fuck up from
Yeah.
time to time. You're gonna butt heads with the kid. Like you're two human beings with free will.
Which
Like,
actually, there's a comment: kids are not property; they are people. Yes,
yeah,
yes, they are. They're an individual, just like everybody else. Like, okay, while they're not property, they're under your guidance, like your
yeah.
protection. You should be,
You're
uh,
training the new guy on the job.
yeah. Well, yeah. Like, oh, hey, don't touch that thing. Don't poke
Yeah,
that. Like, oh yeah, Jimmy did that the other day, and he's that's why you're hired now. He's
yeah,
dead.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I didn't stick a fork in the power socket because my dad did when he
yeah,
was a kid, you know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I watched one of my friends do it at school. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously his dad didn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and even if you're not a parent, as a community, we should all be sharing and disseminating this kind of information and guidance to
Hmm.
everybody. That,
Yeah,
like, hey, you know what? Maybe because nobody has all the experiences, nobody has all the knowledge,
right.
nobody's read all those fucking books by the
Well,
doctors.
here's one thing I noticed early in life that I don't know that a lot of people really give much attention to. But I just thought about it when I mentioned that my friend did something that my dad did as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going up to him and saying, like, why would you do that? Didn't your dad tell you anything about that? And he was like, no. And I was like, huh. And that clicked in my head. I was like, you know what? Like, we're watching our parents grow up too. You know, like
Yeah.
that's something that people need to understand is like, once you get to a certain age and you realize like, holy shit, I'm the age my parents were when they were raising me, and I
Mm-hmm.
still don't know jack shit about the world.
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't either.
Uh-huh.
So like you start to get perspective on, retroactively on how well of a job they were doing, and you start to give them a little bit more slack. And it's like, like yeah, like all all you really can do is pass on mistakes you've made,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's through story or through your actions.
Yeah.
And if it's through your actions, yeah, objectively, that is a shitty thing, but it is still telling them an important lesson,
True.
teaching an important lesson. And those experiences, however shitty they may be, are doing some good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And,
like
and we
my dad
shouldn't.
hit me a few times,
Mm-hmm.
but I wouldn't say I was an abused child.
No.
So, like, you can't just say hitting a kid is abuse.
And that's what I
That's
was
it's not that black and white,
and that's what
like,
I was going to get into is like we can't be because what we were just talking about is by comparison we shouldn't be so critical of other people for not knowing the things that we know, right? Like
mhm.
everybody has a few pieces of the puzzle. Nobody has the
Yeah,
whole puzzle, right?
right.
Every like, oh, this person knows this stuff and that person knows that, and maybe there's a Venn diagram crossover going on, but like nobody knows it all, and so we can't expect everybody else to. Like what the only thing we can expect is that really nobody knows what's going on. We're
Yeah,
just trying, right?
yeah.
And that I don't know how, but maybe this ties back into. Hold on, there's a motorcycle going by making a little bit of racket. Um, it's summertime, so uh, like how to tie that back into UFOs and stuff, and like I don't think anybody really knows, like has the big picture. There's
Yeah,
somebody that knows this and somebody knows that. There's little things here and there, but it's never been put together.
Well,
And then there's all the people who like they start off with the premise that they know, oh, I watched a YouTube video or I read an article and now I know everything. The Dunning
well,
Kruger sort of
I
thing.
I tell you how this ties into aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Like if aliens ever invaded Earth, it's easy to think, oh, you know what? This species that has a superior technology to travel through the stars at hyper fast speeds and come to our planet definitely has the upper hand. Well, they have never experienced life on Earth,
Mm-mm.
and we have.
This is
And
true.
also have the knowledge of thousands of years of history on planet Earth. We know things that they cannot possibly know
It would take
about
them
how things
generations.
happen.
It would
Yeah,
take them we have home field advantage in that regard,
exactly.
right? Like, oh
Exactly.
yeah. That's a good
So,
point.
so like there's always an upper hand to be found. You
And
just have to know where to look for
to tie it into child raising, they probably go through the same shit that we go through with raising their kids.
it.
you know?
Yeah.
Oh man. So they well, like if aliens invaded, they'd have to have us hire us as consultants to raise their kids to like know, you know.
There needs to be a sitcom about like an alien species that has been traveling on this spaceship for generations, right? Like they've
Mhm.
got better technology than us, but it's not like Star Trek technology, right? So they
Yeah.
still have to go through generations in space, right? And it's all about them teaching their young about how to get by, but they just happen to be the young that get to Earth and
Mhm.
have to deal with humans on Earth and all the hilarity that would ensue there. Like,
Yeah. That totally could be a sitcom, actually. Yeah. Well, let's hope it isn't something more like ET. Uh, oh yeah, God, geez, we went all around today,
yeah,
and lots
it's
of comments too. Like some good comments.
yeah, that was a good one from UFOs to parenting. Like
Like, how the hell do we do this, dude?
and ways that we could live under the ocean.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
and to think we were like, oh well, well, let's just do like a short one. And now it's like two
one
hours
of the
later.
longest ones ever.
Yeah, I know. Oh
Oh,
my
geez.
God. It's so good though.
That was a good one. That was a very good
Lots of
one.
good thoughts in there.
It was a
Well,
breath of fresh air in a long string of politically dismal episodes. Like,
yeah, exactly. Oh man.
but
Well,
my bladder's very full. So.
mine too. So, oh, Victoria says she needs a mic. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
we can
you can
invite
always be a
guests.
guest.
We can add. I think the limit is 100 people, which would be a cacophony of conversation. I don't know how that would
Yeah,
work.
yeah, that would be difficult.
One extra person. We've done, I think, five total once.
4 or 5,
Four or
yeah.
five, yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it was 5.
I think it was, yeah.
Joe, Ted, and Big James or something, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So that was five.
yeah.
I think that was the episode where we started talking about guns. You're
Yep. My eyes kind of glazed over. I was like,
like, well, I've got a picture of a gun here. Oh man. Well, yeah, I think
All
we'll
right.
conclude
Well,
this one.
I think we'll have a little 2 week vacation here,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back in mid-August or so.
Yep. Yep. We'll
Yep.
be back. Just take a little bit of a breather. Um, yeah, as you do.
Yeah. It's like our first real vacation, really.
Shit, dude, we've been doing this for like 6 years every
Yeah.
day, you know,
Oh yeah,
or every week.
we're on season 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Crazy.
So a solid 6 years and then some.
Solid 6 years. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
All right. Well,
Okay. Thank you for the comments. And
yep.
anybody who feels like leaving comments after the fact, leave comments. We always appreciate further conversation. As we always say, keep the conversation going. It never ends. We don't have all the answers. We just have beers.
A lot of beer.
A
Yeah.
lot of beer. Yeah.
The answer to most of life's problems are at the
It
bottom of a
is.
bottle.
That is when the epiphanies occur. Oh man. All right. Have a good day, everybody.